everyone, guys. Hope that everyone will be fine, and welcome back to another tutorial. So in this video, I'm going to explain you that how we can block and unblock user, right? So I really make this video a little long. I think so. Just 2 to 3 weeks. I've been extremely busy on my projects, so I can't find any right time. So a lot of requests has been there on making such kind of tutorials. So let's jump in and get started here. So you see I have a bunch of user listing. I created database and dynamically the data display on the tables. And if I just try to block that user, it process it and the notification shows that the status updated successfully. After 3 seconds, it disappear, right? So we can also unblock the specific user. So based on the user ID, we can block and unblock user. So that's what we are going to build, and I want to explain you everything as much as I possibly can. And I will also put this code and the link in the description so you can easily download, because I have a very much similar video to that, but that video won't have the code, but I believe this will be really helpful. So please keep subscribing and sharing this video, and I want to see you in the coding section back here. And this is the Laravel directory that you have seen a lot of times on my course. So you can also fetch, and if you have very beginner of Laravel, you can watch my other videos of Laravel. So let's jump into the code. So the first thing I need to do, show you guys the resources, views, and these are the user underscore list, right? And I just want to press Ctrl Z. So here I have the title, I have the notif div. Basically, this is the idea. You see the notification down here, or the toaster, you say it's all custom made, right? So this is the styling for it. And down here we have our ID, which is get underscore data. Basically, inside this div, I created the table, right? I give this ID, and if I go to my JavaScript file, which is inside the public JS custom.js, and there you see, all right, so you can see properly word wrap, and down to it I created this table, and I put this ID get underscore data, and put everything inside the function. So I created a function with the name of get user list. All right, I created this function, and definitely the type of the request has to be the get request, because we are getting the data from the database. We have the user fetch list, which is our route, which will go to the routes web.php and get the response from the controller. So I give it the ID and append all the table inside it. So if you guys are aware of the jQuery append, so everything that we put up here will be appended with our HTML markup that we have in our HTML structure. And then I use a loop here. So we have the response, the data which is coming from this route. We get the response here, and we pass the index, which is the element.id, all the object that I need to grab from my database. And we have a condition here, right? So if I press this, the active underscore deactive underscore user, so basically this is the click event, and I say that whenever I click on this event, there is a processing of the button works, and it will grab the ID that I want to active or deactive. And there we see if the response is successful, it will say the status updated successfully. And on the other hand, of the other condition, if it's failed, then it will show you the red background, right? So in our case, it's working fine. Next we have is the very button for the custom message that we have created, which is the show alert message, right? We have the code and the message. So code is coming that if the response is 200, right, it shows you the green and else red. And the message that we passed up here, depending on the situation that we are blocking or unblocking, it will put up the message and fade out after once it shows. Okay, so this is a basic jQuery function. Let's come into the controller. All right, so first I want to show you the even routes first. So I go to the web.php. Just forget about these routes, because that's something else. And even I have that in my Git repo. So if you guys really disturbed by that, so you can remove it all. And so these are the three routes that we have. These are the user listing routes that where we can fetch it, and this is where we are getting the response of in JSON, in JSON encode, and that's how we can pick up the ID and with the help of the controller, right? So I'm just going to the controller first after the routes. So I just need to go to the HTTP controller and go inside the user controller. So this is very simple, right? We fetch all the record. We use Eloquent for that, and it will grab the users in the encode. We use the JSON encode method, and it will uh, put everything inside the users, and that's how we will pass into our page in the resources. And it will check up here if we grab the ID, if we pick up the ID, if the user status is 1, so we can make that status to be 0, and on the other case it has to be 1, right? So if it's saved, it will show you the success response, and this is basically a simple view, right? So I believe most of the things I understand. So we grab this JSON encode success, and if I go to the custom.js file, and that's how it sees that if the response that's from the controller, if it's successful, it will comes to here, it will show the response. If it matches up, if both results are successful, it will show us the alert. And also we put up the function that the table, so we don't need to refresh the page, where we call the function once we update the status, and everything works well, right? So that's really much it, guys. I believe most of the beginners might find it a little hard to understand, but I think so. If you have any issues, I can even elaborate in my next video if you have any confusion. And that's the last thing I want to show up you. That's, you put up a class here, you get the table body. Again, you just give this class so we can get the table records, and inside table records we have table data, so we also append it to it. So that's why I use a new class here, user list, and with the help of the ID we can block in the unblock user. So that's really much it, guys, right? So if you guys really find this video fascinating, I haven't find this whole I luckily find try and work on it, and most there's no any tutorial related to that, and I hope you guys will enjoy. So please keep subscribing and sharing this video as much you can, and I want to see you for the next time with more interesting tutorials like this. Thank you, and keep watching and subscribe my AB Nation Programmers channel.